Hey there, everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of the New Byte podcast.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Today, we have a guest with us, and besides that, I also have problems with my Discord right now because everything's wrong. Oh my god. I quickly have to fix a few webcam things, but in the meantime, our guest, VideaProjaekt, hey, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm VideaProjaekt and I'm a hobby YouTuber and I'm heavily invested in Rainbow Six Siege, so I'm kind of an expert, even though I'm like not the best player in the game, but I have like 200 hours. And I had the pleasure to introduce or reintroduce House Test back into the game. So
Absolutely.
how are you, House Test?
I'm absolutely fine. I love having you as a guest today. And of course, I'm also joined by Emily as usual. Emily, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, House Test?
Just as I said, very well. And I'm looking forward to a great podcast today. We have so many topics to talk about, especially, of course,
great.
about Rainbow Six Siege, which is absolutely fantastic game. I just remember back in the day when it was released, there were many claims that said, the game is good, but it's lacking in content and all that. And after now 2 years, we're now on the third year of the game, if I remember correctly. Everything has changed. The game came back. Ubisoft has kept onto it and has updated it. We have now 2 new sets of operators that came through season passes, and now we're also in the third year, so we have even 8 more coming. 2 are already out now with Operation Chimera, and with that we also have a cool limited time event that we can play against zombies. So lots of things to get you up to speed right now. What is up with Rainbow Six Siege in play? In case you have heard about it from release but never heard of it again. And it was quite a cool comeback story. And today, of course, we want to talk about, especially the latest thing, what I just said, Operation Chimera, how that worked out. And of course, I'd say, Emily, maybe you want to take us away into the section with some questions.
I shall. So, when did you both start playing Rainbow Six? Was it Rainbow Six Siege? When did you when it first came out, or did it take some time? Or
Vidya, when did you stop playing that?
For me, it was a couple of months after release, and basically started playing online and didn't play very well, and it didn't work for me, and there were all sorts of issues for me, like with netcode and other things. So I stopped playing for a long time, and then came back about half a year ago, and got heavily invested into the game after the other games I played before died out. So I just went back to Siege and thought, hey, that game could be good now, and I heard it's good, and it was a blast playing it since then.
Absolutely, yeah.
nice.
Actually, my personal story is that I only bought it for the benchmark because back in the day, I was actually invested in a lot of PC gaming stuff, did a lot of testing. I just got a new PC. The NVIDIA 1080 and 1080 Ti graphics cards were brand new. So, of course, it was interesting to test all sorts of games. And, of course, Rainbow Six Siege and also Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands. Both are great games to use as a benchmark. And funny enough, like I said, I played like maybe 10 hours beforehand. And now, I played just 10 more hours, but more invested this time. Like Vijay and I were on his Discord server, played with a lot of friends from him, and it was just a joy to play together as 5-man squad, for example. But even also just with 2 people, him and me, and some randoms, it's still a very fun game just to jump in and play. It's very interesting also sometimes how the social aspect plays out. Like some people are still very toxic, but overall, I personally at least had a lot of fun with it.
Very interesting. So, what console do you play on, console or PC? I mean, if you play on both, how does it compare?
Yeah.
I'm playing basically just on PC since I don't own a console, but I heard
Oh,
that
right.
the console community actually is pretty good. Like they are basically playing the same game as we PC players because they don't have an aim assist, which basically means if you're not good
Wow.
with your aim, then you will just die a lot. And it's the same on PC and on console. They really do not have like aim assist, because that would completely destroy the game.
That's interesting. I didn't know
but I'm a
that.
PC player, yeah. So how's tests?
Wow.
Have you tried the console version at any point?
Honestly, no. Like I played both Ghost Recon Wildlands and The Division on consoles, but never got into Rainbow Six on console, because for me that's like, for example, doesn't mean that the games are the same, but just like CS:GO, I think this is a game that needs high precision mouse and keyboard controls, and it's just something that I feel like this is the best place to play it on. But since I have like all platforms available, I can easily say that, because I can just play wherever I want. Some people that don't have a chance to choose, from what I heard, actually, yeah, console players also have a very nice way of experiencing that game.
Oh, fair
That's
enough.
very nice.
Sounds very interesting. So, how good are you guys?
Oh. Okay, Vidya, how about we rate each other? So we're not talking about ourselves, but we rate each other.
I would say, from what I've seen playing with you, especially with a team of more than 2 people, you have good situational awareness. You know where enemies are coming from, you hear them, and you have a sense of knowledge about what is going on. And that really helps you like playing very well. So I would say you went from 0 to hero in a few hours. Like, you were actually pretty good. So how about me?
good.
Would you rate me?
Well, I haven't seen you from the start, so basically just the last 2 weeks or so. And I gotta say, your knowledge is just amazing. Like, you're absolutely into Siege. I can totally see that, and you show that also when playing. Most of the time, it's like unforeseen things, I'd say, that you die to. But in general, you're longer alive than I am, and we're probably also on the same level, I'd say. Which, again, reflecting to myself, I guess I'm just good at playing shooters at all, and just having a quick understanding how the maps work. Which, I mean, that also means that the Rainbow Six Siege maps are so well done, because you can easily grasp them, see how the walking routes are, and easily expecting enemies from the correct direction that they're coming from. Plus, the sound system is really well done. You can hear steps very easily, and you can notice from which direction they're coming from. So that's a really nice thing to see, and I'd say you're at least as good as me, but probably even better. If you would play longer, I'd probably see the difference way better now.
Oh.
Well,
Shall we move on to a different question? So, what do you guys like most about the game?
Vijay, what do you like the most about Siege?
For me, it's that the game is kind of predictable. Where in other shooters like Battlefield 1, there are 64 people running around, flying around, and driving around. There's just the gameplay 5 versus 5. One team is defending, one team is attacking, and everything is kind of predictable. You know the characters, you know what they can do, and you always have the ability to react. There's no chance that something is just flying from above and killing you. You always have the ability to hear a person, to react to every single operator has like some kind of counter. And the other thing is that the game is just a bare bones shooter. There's not a lot of stuff on the sides, like for example, vehicles or other cheap things that could just kill you in an instant. Most of the things are easily avoidable. That's like the thing that I like most, and which keeps me away from playing, for example, Battlefield 1 or some other shooters.
Yeah.
Call of Duty, to name a few.
Yeah, I mean, I also like that. It's just the base 5v5 game. You have attackers inside the place, and no. You have defenders on inside the place, defending the rooms or situations that they are given. Because sometimes we have 1 or 2 bomb sites that you have to protect, because the attackers are trying to get into the house and are trying to plant a bomb, or you are actually having hostage situation where the defenders inside are sort of the bad guys and the attackers are trying to liberate the hostage. So it's always interesting narrative-wise, but it's always the same principle. You have 5v5, people are rushing in, the defenders are waiting in the inside, preparing traps, and probably trying to even prevent that the attackers are getting a foot inside the place. So it's really interesting how all the different characters play out, how they have advantages and disadvantages. Some have more armor, some are quicker with less armor, and also the abilities overall make a lot of difference when picking a team together. So what I actually love, like, you need at least one more person, so you can say, hey, I want to take this character, do you want to take another character that fits very well with them together? So at least with 2 people together, you have already a good synergy level going on. Again, speaks for the way, currently at least, how the operators are selected and how they're brought into the game.
Yeah, there's a certain kind of depth in the game, and that's like fascinating to me. Like how you described it. The principle is easy, but as soon as you get into what character should I pick and where should I go? Should I stay at the bomb or should I go away and try to surprise them? That's like the depth of the game, and that's like the last thing that just came to mind thinking about why I love Siege.
Absolutely. It's like, I don't know, different kinds of cheese. Like you have sort of base versions that you have more the standard Gouda thing, and then you have some soft cheese stuff. But if you take your time and get to know more of them, you actually see like there are small differences, and it goes really deep into that. And that's like Siege for me, at least, because I got into the game fairly easy. I got to know the maps fairly easy, and thanks to some great callouts by most people that I played with, I also know where to look at some spaces like, do I want to reinforce this wall with another steel plate, or do I want to actually leave that wall open and open a path between 2 things that I have to defend at the same time? So the longer I play, the more I get into it, and compared to, again, something like CSGO, for example, I felt like I'm not in a position where I have to learn like thousands of hours before actually playing the game. I could learn while I was playing the game, and even though I had only a handful of characters at first, through just playing the PvE content, I was still getting fairly easy into the game and started growing with it, instead of the game is grown in the last decade or so, like CSGO, for example, which is a really old game if you think about it, and that has just so many tricks and callouts and places which everyone else is already so good at that you just have to invest so much time into. And with Siege, that's just like 2 and something years out now, it still feels fresh enough and also sort of fair enough for me as a newcomer that I can get into it very easily.
Especially since as a newcomer, you usually don't encounter tactics from the Pro League because they're very hard to pull off. And there are other tactics you could use to counter these tactics. Then that's also due to the matchmaking working pretty well. Like you're never playing against a Pro League player usually.
Yep. And I think it's really great that if you look up, for example, stuff on YouTube, like you've given me a very long list, it's very easy to get to know the basics, because all of the operators have some sort of defense mechanics. They have only 1 or 2 weapons, sometimes 3 maybe, and they have a sidearm. And only on rare occasions it's like, this character is very special, you need like one special video about them. But to understand the operators, or all of them on the base level, is simply just like the ones that have a shotgun, the ones that have a shield, and most of them have a rifle to work with. So that's very easy to understand at first, and it's very easy to get into it. And if you take a look at YouTube, for example, if you want to see pro leagues, at least now I think they can still improve the casting of those events. But if you see pro players playing against each other, you will probably very easily understand how encounters are working and how you can learn from them already. And this is a thing which is a great sign compared to, for example, like Overwatch. If you see pro league players there, I think I'm just too slow, or I'm not deep enough into Overwatch, for example, to understand why a certain tactic works out better than other things that the pro players do.
Yeah, of course. And like the last thing that I can say about the Pro League is that it had a lot of time to actually build up, which you can actually see when you look at the stream, like the 6 invitationals. I watched like the whole weekend, like 13 hours.
Yeah.
And it was very exciting. And you can actually see that they like improved the viewability of the game by having an overview map where you can see like the map from above without the roof. So you can see what everybody's doing. And the other thing is that the game is built up to be a competitive shooter. It's a shooter at the core, which makes it easy to understand, easy to play, and then bring in the depth by having more operators in the game, having gadgets in the game, and have different weapons in the game. That's like the beauty of the game, so to speak. Just having a core shooter and then build upon it and keep it competitive. That's something that the creative director of Siege said in an interview like a few weeks ago, I guess, when Operation Chimera was released.
And it's sort of interesting that they plan to bring in 100 characters, of which we have, I don't know how many.
36 was the last number, and now Finka and Lion are in there too.
Yeah, so we have like a third of all the operators already in the game, and we know at least 6 more are coming this year. So that bumps it up to 40. No.
Yeah, which basically means we have another few years of support for this game because there's no plan for a sequel, which is actually a good thing.
It makes sense. Sorry.
Yeah, they can basically improve the engine even more because like what they did with the original Assassin's Creed engine, reworking it like multiple times until Rainbow Six Siege came out. I did not trust somebody to use an Assassin's Creed engine to make a shooter out of it, but it actually worked. And looking at people with different configurations playing the game, it actually works. Like it runs well and it's consistent all the way through.
Absolutely.
So Emily, do you have another question for us?
I do. I was wondering if there was like any DLCs or expansion packs for this kind of like game.
So basically monetization. Yeah, there are multiple.
Was it?
There's multiple paths of monetizations in the game. The first thing is there's the operator passes. So you can actually get all the base operators for free now. That's what they changed in the Operation Chimera. Usually you had to buy them with in-game money. And there's a year 1 pass for the operators that came out in the first year after launch, and then one for the second year, and then one for the third year. Additionally, there's also microtransactions for cosmetics like elite skins, which are special skins out of another time zone. Or, for example, the Blackbeard one is from the Vietnam War, and it's a special skin. And there are other skins which can also be acquired basically by just grinding in-game. Either you could buy the operators for free, or you buy them with real money, and the same goes for the skins. Yeah. So, and the last thing would be the loot boxes, because they added them in the game, and at first everybody was a little bit pissed off by that. But then they just made it so that you could only get them with in-game. So basically people dumped all their in-game money into the Outbreak loot box packs, in the alpha packs. And then they added the Operation Chimera loot boxes, which are the real money loot boxes, which there are 50 of. And basically there was big outcry through the community after they added this, because you can only buy them with real money and you have to buy 50 of them to get everything.
Yeah. It's like dump in like $100 to get everything, or I mean, there's no other chance. Like you can't get in drops in the outbreak mode, I think.
There's no way to get any drops. Like you get 4 if you're a normal player and you owned the game before, and you get 10 if you buy the new advanced edition, which is the new $60 version, which is basically not worth it, to be honest. Just get the standard edition for 40 instead.
So standard edition has only the base operators, and additionally to that you can buy season 1 operators, season 2 operators, and the season pass for the now coming operators for year 3. And I think each of the season operators costs about like round about 20 euros. Depends, because they have, of course, the in-game currency as a price, so that varies, of course, based on your currency. And if I would buy enough in-game points so I could buy season 1 and 2, which I need right now, I don't have them yet, I would pay like 35 euros, because if I go to a next level of pack, I'd say I could save a little money, but still sort of, I don't know. I wish that they would make it just like it's, I don't know, 15 euros for the packs, and if the time goes on, they make them cheaper a little bit, and the newer ones will have a more expensive price from the go, so it level out. But well, that's just what I'm thinking. But actually, since we're here talking about Outbreak, I have some footage, of course, from the Outbreak games that we played. So let's have a look at that, and let's talk a little bit about the event that's currently running. I think only for 1 more week, or 1.5 weeks, I think.
Yeah, about that time. I don't exactly know when it will end, but it will end pretty soon, because it started on March 6th when Operation Chimera hit, and at the same point we got the first event for Rainbow Six. It's like a timed event which only lasts for about a month, and
Yep.
it's actually story missions. It's actually adding story into the game with a very nicely rendered cutscenes that you can just watch by clicking on the Outbreak symbol in the game, or just going to YouTube, because they are beautiful. They're really beautiful. And they added in 3 story missions, which basically take place in New Mexico, and there's a virus there which came in to the Earth with a capsule from space, and you don't know a lot about it, and I don't want to spoil anything about it. But basically, there's a virus which infects people around this city in New Mexico, and Operation Rainbow is sent there to fight this virus which infects people and makes them into horrible monsters which can and will probably kill you a couple of times when you play
Like,
the
quite
Outbreak
annoying.
mode.
It sort of have a mutation where some like crystals grow from the body, like very spiky ones, and you have all the different types. Like you have, of course, the base, I'd call them zombie or infected. Then you have the ones that explode in your face. You have large tanks which actually will charge you, will take a lot longer to take down. And of course, you have something like a mage which will buff both the standard ones and of course will attack you at the same time. So on screen you can see right now one of the 3 missions that are available. It was quite fun for me to play through this. Like, we have different situations. Sometimes everything changes. You have to save one of the doctors, the scientists that's actually trying to find healing for those people. Then you have actually a situation where one of your teammates, which you can't play in this mode, but is available as an operator in the game itself, whose chopper gets taken down by one of those infected, and you have to help him out in order to flee with him. So interesting stuff with that. As Vidya said before, there are also introduction cutscenes and all that. And the overall story is like the Ash operator, one of the US operators, just gets the scene and says, we need Rainbow. Get like the Thermite, Lion, and all the other people on there. And with that, now also we have 2 new operators which fit this situation. We have on the one side an operator woman called Finka, which has given us, for example, a nano boost with nano machines, so we have a little bit more health. And the other one is a man who's called Lion, and his ability is just to scan the area, and every person or just enemy in the game that is moving will automatically be outlined through walls. So it's like in wall hack necessarily for a few seconds.
Yeah, so basically both operators that were added in this operation are attackers, which is a deviation from the standard patch cycle, because usually there's always one attacker and one defender. And this time they really changed up the meta by adding 2 operators which fit different niches. On the one hand side, you have Lion, who's pretty much a pro league character, who has like a 99.9% pick rate, so he's basically OP in pro league. He's always picked.
Well, he's not OP because he's always picked, but he's so good that he's always picked.
I mean, he basically is OP, and Ubisoft actually like said he's OP, but he's also very bad as soon as you go into casual and play alone. So he's kind of hard to really balance, and they might have to rework him a little bit, because his ability is just absolutely overpowered in certain situations, is what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
If you force the enemy team to move and you activate his ability, there's no chance that you can take back an objective, because as soon as you move, people will see you through walls and will already know that you're coming, which makes the game totally different compared to a few weeks ago when Lion was not there before. You can even see it in casual, like when House Test was playing Lion and I said, yeah, do it now, and he activated it and we just saw 3 people lighting up through the whole building. It was easy for us to win. And on the other hand, we have Finca, who's not picked in Pro League, but is in casual, like is pretty much well picked in casual, to be honest, because in casual you don't have instant headshots that much, because the aim is not that great for most players. At least in my area, it's not always headshots. If you look at ranked and diamond players, there's a lot of headshots going on, and then think it doesn't make sense anymore, because the only thing she does is like give you 20 more health points, which doesn't help you with a headshot because it still kills you with 1 bullet. And the other thing is you have decreased recall, which is pretty strong, but also not really needed, because it sometimes can throw your aim off if you like.
Yeah, there are different advantages of being boosted, while certainly you're breathing faster. So, for example, people that like Smoke, who's giving you a smoke bomb, he will actually force you to breathe in a lot more of this dangerous smoke, so you die faster. That, for example, is a bad thing about that. Sorry, Vijay, I had to cut you down a little bit because we're getting a little bit too much into detail. But certainly we can still show at least some gameplay from the round that we played. You've played as Finca and I played as Lion together. I don't know when it will go good with this section. We start out as attackers this time. It's just very interesting how now we have sort of a change in the operators. Like the first few ones that we got were more like basic operators. Like we have a person like IQ, which has a little device which can just ping electronic devices through walls. For example, so if we have a C4 trap, she can see that and can say, oh, there's a trap, I will shoot it with my gun, and that's it. That's the special thing about that. And we have a character like Pulse, which is also using a radar, but only sees like a small point on his device, and it's taking a lot of time to take out that device, scan the wall, and hopefully find someone. It's limited in space. Now with the new generation of operators, we have something which is just on the complete map. There's a word for it, I forgot about how to describe it, but basically you don't need to be close to someone, it's just all over the map. Like the scan works wherever the people are, and of course the nano boost works wherever the people are. You will always get that boost as long as you're alive. Like that's a change in that way.
It's called the meta of the globals. That's the thing that they are adding in. It's
global abilities, right?
Because it affects all the operators in your team or the enemy team in the sense of Lion's drone. And you cannot be far enough away to avoid being detected by Lion's drone, or be too far away to get Finca's nano boosts, because the nanobots are already in your body as an attacker before the round even starts.
Yeah. Actually, that would have been an interesting way to nerf Lion, for example, if they say, hey, the ability is only working within like 5 or 10 meters of around you instead of over the complete map. Because sometimes Lion is used at the start of a round if the drones which you have, so you can peek around and see if someone is there. If they don't find the objective, you can still try to see just where the people are in general, and you can quickly notice, okay, they're all in that area, so probably the objective is also there.
But the problem is that that would be hard to balance in another sense. But that's something that the Ubisoft balancing team and feedback team will have to figure out. The basic idea of Lion is that it's like a big drone. It's about as big as a helicopter over the map, which just will send shockwaves through the whole building, make everybody shake, and with that, detect you as soon as you do steps and walk around.
Makes sense, yeah. All right.
So do you have another question, Emily? Is there anything still on your list?
There was one thing left on my list, and I was wondering, for someone who's like looking to play it or buy it, like what are the best features that you can think of? Like what's the unique selling point for someone who's looking to play it? Like what would you recommend?
I would definitely say you have to be a competitive person. Like, you have to be confident in yourself to not rage quit all the time, and to like think about what did I do wrong and what can I improve. If you're not that kind of person, then you're probably better off playing something else. But the main feature that sets this game apart from everything else is like the pure focus on competitiveness, on the core shooter elements, and on having a game that is going on for multiple years. So if you're buying into the game now, it will probably be alive in 2 or 3 years and will not have died out, because the support is still there, people are still there, and that's the big thing that I can see with Siege. But there's like nothing extraordinarily special that would tell that I would tell anybody to say, don't get Counter-Strike Global Offensive, but get Siege instead. There's nothing in the game that I could say makes it better than anything else. It's
That's
hard
why
to
I
say.
say I have another opinion about that.
Well, I'd love to hear your opinion about.
First off, I think the game is more complex in you have more characters, you have more things to see and talk about, but it's also, I think at least, simpler to get into, like CSGO. Again, if you play with other people who just know the map very well, even in casual, if you don't know like all the good places to hide behind, you have literally no way to just win. With Rainbow Six Siege, if you're an average good shooter person, like if you played other shooters like Call of Duty or something like that, or Battlefield, I think you can get more easily into Rainbow Six Siege. So that is an advantage that I'd say, hey, it's easy to pick up for someone who's just in general good at shooters. And if you are interested in overall into like esports aspect of it, the more competitive side, and if you have also a few friends who also want to try it, just get this game and play it a little bit, and you will see it's something that you actually want to invest more time into if you just get a first hang of it. So there is, of course, a starter edition of Rainbow Six Siege, which I don't know how many operators are in there, but I think costs like something like 20 euros or so.
Yeah,
which you might know a little more about that.
It's about between 15 and 20 euros as far as I remember, because the euro and dollar price is different. But I would highly advise against buying the starter edition, because it has a lot of issues right now, because it's being reworked multiple times, and it has been worse before, but it's now a little bit better. But it's still not great, because you are very limited in your choice of operators. And while the standard edition now gets all the base operators, so everything that was in at the launch of the game, the starter edition only gets, I think, 6 or 8 operators, which basically limits you to pretty much playing those. And the other ones you want to get are pretty expensive to get, so you will have your first few hours playing just the same operators over and over again, and probably not having the operator that you actually want to play. And that's something a friend of mine told me, which kept him from playing more Siege until he got more operators, because he was playing the same operator over and over again, and it was just not his play style. Then I told him to buy another one, and he did it, and then the game just got absolutely better. That's also a thing that I would like say about versus Counter-Strike Global Offensive. With Counter-Strike Global Offensive, you have different weapons. In Siege, you also have different characters, different speeds, and different playstyles. Be the defender and be in the room, or be the roamer and run around the map, for example. That's like a big difference.
Yes, absolutely. And I think like if the now standard version, not the starter version, but the standard version costs 40 euros, and you have all the base operators in it, you already have a good selection of people that you can play as and characters that you can see, and it's already a lot of fun. And slowly you can get more operators with the in-game currency, which is called renown, which you can just get by playing a lot. And with that way, I mean, you can just play through all the game and get all of the characters by that. Or if you say like, okay, I get one more and see like if it's actually worth it, and then like 1 or 2 months later, if you need to save up a little money for that, you can always say, hey, I'm fine now, I think I'm good with the game, and now I get all the rest of the operators by paying the rest of the price. But it's sort of, you can have, I'd say, a first base portion of the pizza, and if you want to have more of that, you just have to pay up a little bit more, and you get even more of the same thing that you already love, but just with a little different flavors on the next side of that. So that's how I see it, and I think that's the best aspect that you can have for the game right now. It's not like you have to pay that one price and you're only getting the whole experience, which would be absolutely expensive. I think the complete edition costs still something like 80 euros or something.
It's
Or
even
90?
more expensive than that,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly. If you get the full edition, it's like $100.
Yes.
But I'm not completely sure. Especially if you just look at the game, like if you get the normal edition or standard edition, it's like $40. Then the year 1 pass is $20. Then the year 2 pass is $20, and then like the year 3 pass, which is like
current
not an
one.
operation bundle, is $30. So you're already like at the $100 mark.
Yeah.
With the only difference being between the first 2 operator passes and the current one is that you get some Rainbow Six credits, which is the real money equivalent of an in-game currency.
Yeah.
And some other minor buffs like a better chance to get a loot box and a little bit more renown, which is basically not a lot, to be honest.
It's not that much different, to be honest. And again, as I said, you pay the base version, play a lot of it, and say, hey, that's really cool. And later on, if you still like it, you can still decide if you want to get the rest of the game. And also in small bits, it's not like part 1 and part 2. It's like part 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can also say, hey, I don't need part 2 and 3. I just want to get part 4, which is something that I did. I bought the base version when the game came out, I think, like a week or month later. And now I just jumped onto Season 3 pass. So I didn't have Season 1 and Season 2 passes, and I'm not missing out, actually. I'm having a lot of fun with those characters that I already have. I'm just saying right now, if I want to continue now, I also want to explore all the other operators, which I haven't played yet. So I don't lose out, really, and I didn't feel like I lost anything. I just want to see more of it and see the rest of the game also now.
Yeah, especially with some operators basically being the same operators in some kind of way. Like you have a sledgehammer guy who has a sledgehammer called Sledge, and he can open walls, but you can also have like from one of the operator passes Buck, who has a shotgun below his rifle, which is basically just another way to open walls. You usually don't use it for enemies, just open walls and floors and try to find some enemies. They're basically the same character with slight difference in flavor. So you're not missing out. Like all the main characters that you need are already in the base pack, and all the other new characters are some kind of different flavors, and some are completely new.
Absolutely.
So you can like basically focus on getting the new ones, like Lion and Finka, who are completely fresh operators who were not in any way already part of the game, but like Buck and Sledge, as I said, are basically the same operators with different flavors.
Yes, and that leads me to the next part of the show, because I think we spent a lot of time with it. We got news also about Rainbow Six Siege this week. Well, rather leaks. And those leaks say actually that the next set of operators will be both defenders and Italians. And what we've seen so far, actually, as we see right here, is in a Reddit post, which looks like this. And basically, it's just having Alibi as one of the operators, and then we have Maestro, which is another one. We don't know about their abilities yet, but here's the thing. That we know already about them is quite a thing, because it's actually not happening usually that we get in leaks that early on, just a few weeks after the last operation went live. So there's that. We already see we have Italians, and we have these two characters, and one of them has sort of holograms around them. Like Alibi, you can see, interesting, it looks like futuristic stuff. So maybe we'll have a defender operator which can just place some holograms on the ground, and they will pose just like all the other operators and can confuse people. So that's interesting, at least. What do you say about that video?
Change up the meta. It would certainly change up the meta to have like another operator who's less about traps, which was the last meta, but more about like another global. I would say that a hologram is kind of a global, because you can just put it somewhere and completely distract the enemy team just by having the hologram there. And I don't know how it will work, and I don't know what Maestro will do. He certainly looks like he has some kind of shotgun or special ammo on his vests. So that's something that the creative director said, that every time they want to add new operators into the game, they will probably just change up the meta by just completely have just by turning everything on its head, just by saying
Yes.
we balance the game by imbalancing the game, by just mixing everything around so everything's kind of balanced again.
And I mean, that keeps the game alive, I'd say, because it's always a
Also.
different game. If you come back and you think, oh, we're not playing this game again, we're playing a totally different game. Cool. And I mean, that's how most of the multiplayer games do it out there, at least. With Destiny, we had lots of changes in the meta. Sometimes the auto rifles were better, then we had the DMGs and all that, so DMRs, and lately we had the shotguns, I think. So yeah, that was really interesting, and always happens in different shooters as well. Right. So what's the next news, Emily?
So next in the news is about Fortnite.
Yes.
And it's an invite-only game. Fortnite has earned an estimated $1.5 million since the launch. Oh my gosh. That's a lot. So since its release last Thursday. So basically...
Well, wait a second, you talked about Fortnite, but what we're actually talking about is Fortnite Mobile, the phone version of the game. It's a very different thing because Fortnite, the base game, just came out last year. I think it's still in open beta, so it's not out. Well, you can play it since last year. And now the new thing is that we have a mobile version for tablets and phones. And what's really cool is, as I said last week, we already have a blog post about that. You can play cross platforms, meaning you can play with PlayStation players and PC players, and also with players on your phone. And now that the app is out, people can actually also go in and play battle passes, which are just like the season pass, for example, which will give you a nice credit boost, which you can use again to buy more other cosmetic stuff, but you also get other things from that. And through that gap alone, the Fortnite mobile app, which in itself is for free, already earned an estimated $1.5 million. Yeah, that's crazy.
And is it only on iOS? So it's only available on Apple products such as iPads and
for nowadays, yes. The Android versions will come out later. So they're only doing iOS exclusively for now, and later on we will get the Android versions as well.
They could have earned so much more if they had released them both at the same time.
I don't think so. Because if you see the problems that the Android platform has, basically because there's so many different phones, the investments in the development part just would have taken so much more cost right now. So actually focusing only on iOS games, iOS devices first, I think is the smarter move for now. And they will still earn a lot of money once they will go to Android as well.
Also, they are earlier than PUBG on mobile. That's also a big thing.
Absolutely.
That's basically our next topic.
Correct. And my browser actually right now is sort of freezing because this one article that I have put up from Mac Rumors is just freezing Chrome. I don't know why. Yes, exactly. The next topic that we also have is, hey, PUBG Mobile. That game is out right now since this week. It started yesterday in the US, and until now, it also arrived in Europe. So I also played it, and I also did a video for that, which will go live tomorrow, or it went live yesterday if you see the recorded version of this podcast. And basically, it's just the mobile game, which was out for a few months now in China, published under Tencent Games, and that port was now also made available to all the other markets. And of course, the assumption now is, hey, Fortnite is doing that well. We should bring our game also over to the other areas like the US and Europe. So yeah, PUBG Mobile is officially out now as well. And from my experience points, like both games actually run really well. Both Fortnite Mobile and PUBG Mobile are good mobile games. Like they're not good games compared to PC games or anything, but nobody would expect that. But at least for me, I feel like, hey, I can actually get too used to this. I can play this game without feeling too much of a disadvantage. Again, here's the thing, PUBG Mobile actually does not let you play against other PC players or console players like Xbox. With PUBG Mobile, you only play against other mobile phone users. So at least that's good, because I think in Fortnite, if you play on a mobile phone against someone with a PC player still has an advantage, even though you have a really high aim assist on mobile phones. But yeah, that's that. So what's next, Emily?
What's next is it from The Verge?
Yes.
Yeah. So our next news story is YouTube live streaming gets easier from computers and phones. Oh, I like the sound of that. So,
Sorry.
YouTube will also allow live streaming directly from the camera app of selected Android devices soon. Ooh, that sounds good. So, yeah, it's gonna get easier for us.
Sort of. I think here's another thing.
So-
I think you can already go live with your phone with the YouTube app, and I don't get why that's now a new thing. Or maybe it's just like, I don't know. It was iOS exclusive and it's now also coming to Android, but then the article would have been differently. So if I just quickly open the YouTube app right now on my phone, I can actually punch go live, and it tells me, yeah, before you go live, do this and that, and sure. But it works already with the YouTube app, and I'm not sure enough where the difference is. But hey, the integration with Android, of course, we've been now closer than ever. So just the YouTube webcam live streaming will be a thing now. And I guess, hey, cool. More people will get access to live streams and experiencing, I don't know, live shows. I don't know what that will be used for. Probably not only for the usual things. We'll see. Who knows what Logan Paul will do with it. So, I don't know. Could be interesting in the future.
Oh dear. Yeah, it's fine.
Who
It's
knows? Something
Shall
else.
we move on?
Yeah, something else that I actually liked really about this is retro gaming, and for that we have the Internet Archive, which is a collective which tries to just save old things, like sometimes it's pictures, articles, newspapers, gaming papers, also magazines, and of course retro games. And now the Internet Archive has a whole library up with handheld games, like very old, only one game that is the handheld. That kind of games you can play now on an emulation.
Wow.
Yeah, so check out the Internet Archive now for those emulation games. I've put up the Gamasutra video on the live stream, so check out that article, and then you can easily find the Internet Archive link. And there's lots of cool things. I already found the two games that I have here right now, which I'm not sure if they work. I need batteries for them, but to have them sort of also saved in a digital form, that's just amazing, and I love that. And it also, sorry if I take now the topic in the hands, also leads to our next topic that we have right now, and that is from Atari, which, if you think about it, Atari, we haven't heard that name in quite a while, except for Atari is releasing another game collection on Steam or something. Now they're back with the Atari box. Just last year, they actually stopped a Kickstarter, which showed that it wasn't that successful for them, and they were thinking Kickstarter maybe isn't the way they want to go. And now this week, finally, we have the announcement at the Game Developer Conference that Atari is putting out a new console, and it's not called the Atari box anymore. It's now called the Atari VCS, which basically is just a small box, as you can see right now on screen, very thin, with a joypad, which we know already from the Atari 2600 console, or just a standard gamepad, which we maybe know from Xbox. So yeah, more news will come out in April when we will be ready. When we will be ready to pre-order this console, and I'm very excited to see it. Apparently, it will be for retro gamers and also for indie gamers, sort of smaller titles like I think games like, for example, Undertale, which run on that some engine, which is also now supported by Nintendo Switch. I guess that direction will be the Atari VCS. Small titles, but very interesting ones, and a platform which also will look very nice next to your TV, because we also have a screenshot for that on our website. If you just look at it, how the box looks like next to a TV, I think it's sort of like a mini furniture thing. It just looks really cool, and I could absolutely think about putting this up on the top of my TV stand and not underneath it where all the other consoles are. So yeah, there's that news also. What do we have next?
What do we have next?
Well,
We have let me just get the article up. One moment. So we have Sonic Mania Plus announced with new playable characters. Ooh.
yes.
So it's a 2D platformer gets physical release.
Actually,
That
yeah.
sounds interesting.
So Sonic Mania was a game that was released last year and was done by Christian Whitehead, somebody who was already doing fan mods of old games, like recreations of Sonic games. And now he and lots of other people with Sega together made Sonic Mania, which is also sort of a mix between the older titles and new, completely reinventions of new maps. And I love the soundtrack, I love the game, and it's awesome that there will also be now physical versions of the game out there to be bought. You will have a reversible cover, which will be more like in the Sega Genesis style. And we'll have 2 more characters, which we call Mighty and Bray. And those 2 characters are from the Sega Sonic games. And I have a little bit of gameplay here for you, so if you're watching the live stream version, you can see right now, it's more like a free sort of character game. You control apparently all 3 of them. I don't know exactly what. And it's a Japanese release, which may be the reason why I didn't know them here. Sort of a fan-only thing. So yeah, that will be also available with Sega Sonic Mania Plus. For the people that bought actually the digital version of this game, they will also get the Plus content for free. So I will be able to play those 3 guys then as well. I'm looking forward to that. Because Sonic Mania is amazing, so why don't you go back? Right?
But speaking of fan projects, because you said the developers of Sonic Mania were actually working on fan projects before, there is a fan project going on in the vein of Mario Maker or Super Mario Maker. There's now a Sonic Maker fan project,
Yes.
which is basically a game made in the Game Maker Studio 2, and it will have the physics and collisions of the Genesis and Sega Mega Drive version of Sonic, and it will allow you to create and play levels in the Sonic universe and just build your own game basically out of all the building blocks that are already in the game. And
Yes.
also allows you, looking at the trailer, some really cool things that were not planned in the actual game, like running around a planet, so to speak, and letting you spin in different, just doing physics things that were not actually planned to be able with the physics of the game. Just
it's
go
amazing.
wild.
Just looking at the trailer right now that we're here, you just draw sort of the levels first, you place a few items, and the rest will be done automatically by the game engine. And it's great. Actually, I love that this exists, and it's not official, so it might be gone very soon. But the fact that you could just draw a few lines and then automatically you will have a level based on the setting that you've chosen is just great. So it will hopefully get more people into programming games, especially when they have such a creative tool. Like it does not necessarily need programmer skills to do these levels. It's sometimes just having a good idea, designing the flow of level, and therefore having just a good game design idea alone. And if you have very easy tools like that available at your hands, it just gets more people into gaming, and that's of course even better. So yeah, there's that. Grab it while you can, the Sonic Maker. Okie dokie.
Nice.
So what's next on the topic list? Vidya, what's next? I know you know this one.
The next topic is Epic Games has shut down Paragon in April 2018, and now they're giving away all their assets for free. So basically, if you want to develop either a game yourself or just want to test out the Unreal Engine, you can just get the assets, which are worth $12 million. And they
Wow.
include 20 AAA quality characters. You can just use them in your, either in your game or in your fan game, or just by testing out. I've done that with Unity before, just using some assets from other games, just to get things going. And this is like actually big news, because usually you don't, as a developer, you usually don't give away your assets because those are things you spend money on. But this is really a leap of faith to the community to do good things with a game that did not work. So take the best what was in the game and give it to the community.
Yeah, Paragon was actually planned to be a mobile game by Epic, the guys that also do the Unreal Engine, which also hosts like games like PUBG and Fortnite. Fortnite is also done by Epic, and so on and so on. And yeah, Paragon was shut down, so nothing's happening with that. And instead of saying, hey, we kept this away from the public, they say, we have all those assets here, why not give them away? And instead of saying, hey, you can purchase these assets, they gave them away for free, actually, and that's just amazing. So another thing, actually, where people can just go in, you can get the Unreal Engine for free, and you only have to pay a portion back to Epic if you made a certain amount of money with the game that you made with Unreal Engine. So easy to get into, easy access to cool assets, like 1,500 environment components are also included in this pack, and 20 cool characters that you can use right away. Even if you're not using it in the final product, just to have something to look at already feels awesome. And, well, Epic, thanks. That's just really awesome. Thanks. Really love that. Now, let's get to some release stuff. Not the actual release list for next week, but things that are partially speculation and partially announced just this week. And I want to start the section here just with a quick note. Brigitte, the hero from Overwatch that we talked about a few episodes back, is now officially available on the public version of Overwatch. So if you want to play her, she's now finally available. Alongside with some other things like Sombra's hack actually got a nerf. It goes now on a 2-second cooldown when interrupted by damage, which is quite a thing, so lots of other things have been changed yesterday with that update. A very long list, so look it up if you want to take a look into the game again. Available now, especially with a new hero. Next up, we also have news regarding Yakuza Kiwami 2. What the hell is that? Does anybody know?
I don't.
Well, Yakuza Kiwami is just the full remake of the original Yakuza 2 game. It is now powered by the Yakuza 6 engine, which is just called the Dragon engine. And the remake actually now works on PlayStation 4. And it's amazing. And it will launch August the 28th. So if you want to play Yakuza 2 again, just after Yakuza, I think, 0 and all the other Yakuza games that just recently were released on the PlayStation 4, you will also get now a chance at the end of this year to play Yakuza 2 with the remaster called Yakuza Kiwami 2. Cool.
Nice.
Exactly. Vidya, have you played Ark in any shape or form?
I tried it in a free weekend back when I had my old graphics card, and it basically felt like it was burning my graphics card because I thought like, yeah, I can play this on medium or high. Yeah, I played it, and I actually liked it quite a bit. It was a little bit problematic for me, but I'm happy to announce that it's now coming to Switch, which is another way to play the game. Basically, just have it on the go. Yeah. I'm not sure how it will run on the Switch, because we've seen with Doom that like first-person shooter games with good graphics usually don't run that well or look that well on Nintendo Switch. Yeah. But it's actually something that can be done, as we've seen with Skyrim, for example, which actually ran really pretty good. So yeah, Ark Survival Evolved is coming to Nintendo Switch.
Exactly. And now we'll leave the official parts and are coming to the speculations. And I will just guide you quickly through this. Some things that we've seen here on Amazon. Apparently there was a Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell 2018 listed by Ubisoft, right? So that could mean there will be a new Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell game this year, and I love that. I actually like the last two Splinter Cell games. Really ain't seeing a new one, probably with a good engine, like maybe the Snowdrop engine, which also powers The Division. Could be really cool. The question is, who's developing that game? Like, under Ubisoft, there's so many different studios. We know that The Division 2 is coming. We know that there's a new Assassin's Creed in the works, which also was speculated this week. Just a side note, apparently the next Assassin's Creed could be in Greece next year. So there's that. And alongside of that, we also have news about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. There's actually apparently going to be a remaster. Sources at Eurogamer confirmed what Charlie Intro already heard. The remaster game will only have the single-player portion, not the multiplayer, and will be priced around €20 and will apparently launch April the 30th. It's still not officially confirmed, so there's that. And only having the single-player portion means, well, there's no multiplayer, which people actually loved. Where's the multiplayer? And it's interesting to see how the game would change. Like with a remaster, probably there will be changes done to the game. And who knows, there was actually that controversy scene, the mission called No Russian, in which you are in an airport and just shoot down civilians. So interesting if this will happen this year again. If gamers are saying, hey, actually that's really insensitive, who knows. But yeah, Modern Warfare Remaster 2, only the single-player campaign, apparently launching at the end of April. Hopefully soon we'll have official information backed up for that. Alright. And that leads us to the official releases for next week, which is... Which one is it? It's Monday the 26th to Sunday the 1st of April. It's an April Fool joke. Alright, who's doing what? I don't have the list open right now. Oh yeah, I was doing actually
First.
I'm the first one. Oh wow! We have Telltale's Batman, The Enemy Within. I mean, The Enemy Within is just the season trailer here, but the next episode is coming up for this one, which will feature also the Joker more, and quite interested to see that. So the season finale is coming out March 27th. Next week, and yeah, if you have the season pass, of course you will get the episode already. And if you're still interested in that, I don't know, it's a Telltale game. They're telling a story of Batman and of course the bad guys. So there's that. I'm done with it. What's the next game?
So the next game is Shroud of the Avatar Forsaken Virtues, and it's basically a multiplayer fantasy RPG that sets the player on the path filled with peril and tough choices as they explore the persistent realm that can be shared with other avatars. Oh, it sounds quite
It sounds like a thing.
yeah. Sounds quite mythical. But yeah, it sounds quite good. And that's out. When is that out? On the 27th of March. And it's coming to PC.
Oh, well.
On the same date, we have the release of Far Cry 5 for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. And it's the first Far Cry game to be in America, so basically at home for a lot of gamers. Not for me, sadly.
Not for me, no.
Or not sadly. I don't know.
Depends.
But, basically, it's the next iteration of the Far Cry games. Basically, Ubisoft telling us that they're the good guys now because it does not have loot boxes, because that's news. But they will have microtransactions, which will speed up progress and will have cosmetics. So we will have to have a look at how that will work, and if it will be a Dead Space, maybe, because that's when the last time when I heard something like that.
Yeah.
But from the looks of it, it will look good. It certainly runs well, looking at the benchmarks that I've seen, and it will probably be a lot of fun, especially being co-op. The only negative being that the progress is only stored on one person's account and not on the player that is playing with you. And on the same date, we have another release. It's Outlast 2 for the Switch. It's basically a port of the original game, which came out earlier. Was it this year or last year?
I think last year.
I think it was last year. Yeah. And now it's coming to Switch with no remaster or any changes in that part. It was well liked by certain people and less liked by the critics. As far as I remember, it was a little bit too gross for a lot of people, and there was a little bit much trial and error in it. But it's certainly good to have like a horror game on the Switch, because I've not seen a lot of them. Switch is usually more like family games, Mario games, and the light-hearted games. And now we go into the territory of Doom and Outlast, like horror and gory, and also first-person shooter games. So that will be out on March 27th.
Coolio. Also on the same day, we have so many games on March 27th. We'll have MLB The Show 2018, which is just baseball, the game. I don't know how it can make it more exciting. Like, it's a sports game. What do I care for sports games, really? I'm very sorry, guys. So if you like that game, hey, it's coming out next week on PlayStation, and you will have it on March 27th. And I assume just right away it's a fully priced title. I don't even know the price of the game because I don't care. Next, we have Injustice 2, and Emily wants to say a little bit about that.
So, Injustice 2, there's going to be a legendary edition, which sounds legendary. It is. It'll probably be very good. But it's coming out on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. It's also coming out on the March 27th, popular day to have games coming out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The Legendary Edition, just as a reminder, is sort of a complete pack. In the German website, we have 10 DLC fighters. Funny enough, in the UK website, we have only 9 DLC fighters. I don't know what's up with that. I don't know if Germany has one exclusive fighter.
It's unfair.
Absolutely. And we have, of course, premier skins and exclusive gear shader packs, because the game uses now gears and upgrading system instead of the first one. And yeah, could be interesting. Might take a look into that. I was actually interested in Injustice 2 because the first game back in the day was added for free with PlayStation Plus, and maybe the next one is good enough also to be enjoyed. I don't know. I have so many games to play right now. I'll put it on the stash. Just
put it on the house test pile.
Yes, it's gigantic. That's just one platform. There's the PC platform behind there. We have the PlayStation 4 platform that's even higher. Yes. Yeah.
Fair enough.
There we are. Cool. Next up, we have a game that I can't spell.
Hang on. I can't even pronounce let me pronounce Atelier, Liddy, and Suel, the Alchemists, and the Mysterious Paintings.
Yep.
Sounds like an interesting game. That's coming out on March the 27th. Yay! Another game coming out that day.
Published by Koei Tecmo, and
yeah.
Sorry, it's coming out March 27th on PlayStation 4, PC, and Nintendo Switch even.
And it was already originally released in Japan for the PlayStation Vita and PlayStation 4 in December 2017. So
God damn it, we're getting games late again.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
All right.
Yeah, but is it that good?
Looking...
Now that we see some gameplay on there, it sounds like an RPG game. Just an RPG game.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's alright. Okay. So shall I move on to Golem Gates?
Yeah, we have just one more game, actually the one that's not released on March 27th, because it's released on March 28th on PC. It's called Golem Gates. And here we have that thing. Golem. Tomb Raider.
You can't pronounce them properly.
Nope.
It's either Golem or Gollum. I don't know.
Golem.
But it's definitely
it's Golem Gates. It's Golem Games. And Emily is suddenly in the dark. All right.
I have a sensor, and sometimes when I stay still for so long, it just goes, oh, there's no one here, so it just turns off.
Yeah.
I'm left in the dark, so.
Yeah, so Golem Gates is a
Golem Gates.
Real-time strategy and card battle game. Collect cards called glyphs containing your forces and powers and strategically wave them into a deck to prepare your battle, then unleash them in streamlined fast-paced battles. Yeah, so it looks quite good actually. Looking at the gameplay, interesting thing. Lots of icons on the screen that I just can't decipher what they mean. So you probably have to play at least a 2-hour tutorial in order to understand it. But from that aspect, I don't know. It's sort of half card game, half real-time strategy game. So maybe for someone out there, it is cool.
On early access right now, so people can, get early access to it. Because it actually says on Steam that it was released on the 7th of December 2017.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
the full game must be coming out on the 28th.
28th of March.
Yeah,
yes.
the 28th.
So you can get the game right now for 28 euros and I think $28 or your regional equivalent. And it actually looks quite nice, actually. At first, when I read the description, it didn't sound like anything good, but like the graphics look fine, a little bit chaotic, but it's actually a good game that I might just want to try out soon.
Seems like a niche game that needed early access to just find the player base first, and now it's officially releasing that people can say, I mean, it's already being played by lots of people, so see our early access reviews for what other people say about the game. It could work out really well, I hope. So good luck with that. Yeah, alright. And that closes the release section actually already. Like, not many games are coming out around Easter because that's next week, actually. So we have a longer weekend ahead of us, and we might have to move around our podcast by one day. Emily, I need to talk to you about that. I'm not sure if I can make it next Wednesday. So, yeah, we'll let you know, of course, about the next episode of the New Byte podcast early enough, probably around Monday, on our social media channels like twitter.com/thenewbyte and all the other places like thenewbyte.com. But of course also Vidya, how can people see you? Can they find you on Twitter? Can they find you on your website, or should they join your Discord? Let us know right now.
Basically, you can find me everywhere just by typing in my name. If you type it into Google, into Twitter, into if you add just discord.videoproject.com or anything else, just open my website and everywhere you will find me and find my content. And the only things that are coming up is probably a why you should play Rainbow Six, which is basically a video series where I tell you why you should probably play the game. And another article I'm currently working on is Blacklight Retribution, a game that I played earlier, and why it is a labor of love. And that will be a long article with a lot of heart in it.
Cool.
Sounds
Looking forward
good.
to that. All right, Emily, where can people find you and read about you?
They can find me. I've actually changed my Twitter name recently. So the Twitter handle is the same. So it's Emily HM45. That's my Twitter handle, but I am King Emily now.
Cool.
So
where's your crown, King? Your crown for the next time.
It's next to my name, so that's where my crown is.
Oh,
but
okay,
yeah, you can find me on Twitter, you can find me on Discord. Make sure to follow us all. Yeah, just keep interacting with us. We absolutely love it. So
cool.
Yeah. How can we find you, House Test?
On the internet, thanks.
On the internet.
Yeah, you can find me as always HAU5Test everywhere. Just Google me and you will know my name. Of course, I'm also found on the official New Byte Discord, which is easily found by just clicking thenewbyte.com/Discord. That will also lead you to the Discord channel that we have. I say, hey, come on over, have fun with us, play with us, chat with us. We have a nice bot which will share automatically cat, dog, and Doge pictures, so that's always nice. And of course, all three of us are here. Even Dan, who sadly is still missing in action right now. We know probably when he will be back, but we don't want to announce it right now, so we'll sadly still take a little longer, but he will be back, of course. And we miss you, Dan, and hopefully you'll be back very soon. But that depends, of course, on the situation, and we can't have to say about that. So we just say he will be back, and that's that. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. It was a lovely show today. Thanks so much for joining me, everyone, and especially VideaProjaekt. Thanks for joining us today. It was a lovely part about Rainbow Six Siege, and I hope you out there will join us again next time on Wednesday, if it's on Wednesday, when we do the new Byte podcast live. Thanks so much for watching, and bye. Say something.
Hi.
Bye.
Yay.
Bye.